I never get names right. I don't know what it is. I butchered my guest last night's name, and I don't mean to.
That's the first time anyone's nailed it first time. Yeah.
Wow, how about that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Conversations with Joshua T Berglan. I am so excited to have my new friend here, Ashley Graetz. Ashley Graetz. See, I just butchered it. Dadgum. You were just bragging about how I got it right. Oh my! And here's the thing: it's morning time. I'm well rested today. I have no excuse. It's like what, 2 a.m. there?
At 3:01, yeah.
What? Okay, so what part of Australia are you in?
I'm in Victoria. Yeah.
Victoria. Wow.
Southern eastern states. So.
All right. So just out of curiosity, because I mean, I haven't been to Australia yet. Can't wait to go. I've seen all in social media a lot of different things, and then I remember the last few years, like Australia was in the news a lot, and then here lately it seems like I don't see it as much, and I don't really understand why. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but what's going on right now in Victoria, Australia?
Not too much at the moment. We're just having I don't know, the police are having a bit of a problem staffing, and they want a pay rise, so they're all protesting at the moment. But
Really?
Everyone's pointing out what happened in the lockdowns and how you would have seen all the violent attacks and different things that went on during the lockdowns. I think it was like the worst lockdown in Victoria was the worst in the world. So it was like all the footage you saw of people getting body slammed and bashed by police, and for not wearing a mask and all this sort of stuff was.
So that
was Victoria, yeah.
Oh my God!
And the premier has just resigned just recently, so like he's the most hated man in Victoria. So yeah, we're just going. This is sort of not big news. So yeah, but it's probably the reason you don't see anything in the news about Australia at the moment is because we've only got like a cyclone at the moment, and everyone's just pissed off about cost of living. So we're now like
sounds like America, kind of.
Yeah. We basically trail America. Like whatever happens in America, it's like 4 weeks later.
Why would anyone want to sign up for what's happening here? Oh my God! So yeah. What's the I got to figure out a way to ask this, because I don't know how X will be. On my platform I can say whatever, but I do put this content other places too, so I got to be careful how to ask. But there was the rumors of mass deaths everywhere. I think I could say it. Is that happening there?
I think it's just happening everywhere. I've seen different things, different places, because I basically spent like the last 3 years homeless, running from place to place to avoid border closures and lockdowns, and so I'd go work out in the middle of the desert to avoid mandates and that sort of thing, because I was a pro-choice person, pro-freedom. I was not for or against anything. I was just, you should be having the right to choose your own way through a pandemic, not be forced into something. So yeah, there's a lot of coercion going on, and yeah.
Why do you think people are so resistant to choice?
I think we're a herd animal. That's just the general consensus of everyone. Probably started in pagan times or whatever, tribal times. So yeah, it would have been that's sort of a hangover from a previous time in history where we were more attuned to just living in large or small communities. And now you've got mass effect. You've got masses of people that read off of the screen and believe everything they see and hear. So it's scary. So everyone's got their little scrying mirror in their hand now. You can't escape it. So
I'm guilty of that stupid thing. I am. It's a useful tool, but it's probably also causing more damage than is necessary, or that I should be allowing to happen with myself. I have to catch myself. Like yesterday, prime example. I mean, because it sincerely, social media has really messed with my mental health, and I got off of it for several years. It helped getting kicked off too, but I didn't try to get back for a long time, and it was really good for my mind. And so I came in, when I got back on Twitter, it was with a new attitude and a new way of approaching, and I was doing really good. And I try to avoid fights. I like to ask questions. I know one thing: I don't know shit. I mean, like, everything I thought I knew to be true, I have to question the heck out of, because it seems like every day I'm finding something new that isn't real, or that I thought was. And so I've taken a different attitude. But yesterday I found myself like roped into this endless nonsense. And like, even with me trying to get out of it, and I didn't want to be the guy that blocks the person. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the block guy, because I don't want to hear your opinion. But it was just like, I'm now stuck in this. and do I confront these negative things, or what do I leave it alone? And it messed with me a little bit. It affected my mood. I mean, I had a great broadcast yesterday that was so much fun, but then I was right back engaged in it. And I mean, it took my joy away. I was like, what was the point of this? This didn't do any good. So, so that, to your point about those damn screens, it's like a soul suck.
Yeah.
But how do you live without it? Like, in this world that we're going in, especially the world I believe we're heading into, what do you do without it?
Well, if you can use it like a tool, if you have critical reasoning and use it like a tool, then it's basically something you use to express yourself. So you wouldn't possibly need anyone to sort of validate it while you're on it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So you're not sucked into the vortex of of social media. And it's just that even they call it social media. There's nothing social about it. It's not socializing. It's actually what was it? It was invented for wartime conversations when we have a nuclear holocaust. It's not invented for us talking to each other in live real time about philosophical subjects, or existential problems. Its initial birth was out of the military. So, it was this kind of NASA group of people and whoever else was financing it. But it's become this like a social movement in the broader sense of humanity now seeing itself represented with their avatar or what they represent. So yeah, it's very dangerous. I don't know if you've ever heard the term egregore.
Egregore?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you explain that?
I don't know the exact dictionary meaning, but it's basically an entity. And so McDonald's is an egregore. So people believe in it. Religion is an egregore. So all Coca-Cola, you name it, anything. They're all sort of egregores that people go and believe in something, and they all gravitate towards it. And it's like an entity possesses that thing. It's just like a hamburger, but people will go and buy it because they're pulled into it through some magical advertising or something. But it's like if it was a spiritual entity, like an egregore, so Twitter is an egregore. It pulls everyone in, or that's the way of looking at it. So yeah, if you see things as like a digital entity, it doesn't exist. It's in a server tower in some air-conditioned factory in Alaska or northern Canada. So these things are where we are existing in real time, that we think is real time, but we're sort of giving our information over freely to this entity as say a devotee would, if they were worshipping a deity. They're it's pretty much giving everything, like energy wise, across to and if you look what's inside of a server, inside the hub, it's a switch. It's just basically a bunch of semiconductors and switches. But the way that they keep the information flowing is it's a bunch of mirrors that runs through these hubs. And so the thing that keeps it from having dust or things interfering with it is smoke. It's a form of smoke inside of the inside the hub. I'm giving you a broad brush. I'm not a tech or anything. So essentially, if you boil it down, we're entering a world of smoke and mirrors.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
My God. So that's what you're saying about social media. So then what's the metaverse?
Yeah, well, that's just, I don't know. I look at that as a sort of an obfuscation of, of the Egregore, I guess. The metaverse is just multiple meanings that stop at having a definition. So, if you look at, say, Facebook went from Facebook to Meta. Mm-hmm. And that became something that's completely obscure now. No one knows what it really is. What is it? What do you do with the metaverse? How do you use it? You put on a VR headset. It's pretty much similar to talking across on a laptop. It's just that you're gluing something to your face. You're in a 3D environment. But I'm
a fan of it. I mean, yeah. I'm a fan of it, but I recognize the desire to not leave that world too. I mean, the first time I put it on, my partner Jessica is developing an educational software or program, a universe for special needs kids, and it's amazing. Like every time I see the updates on it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm blown away by what's happening with it. And then but the first time I put the headset on, I got sick. I was like, oh, fuck, I don't like this, and so it kind of gave me anxiety a little bit. So I didn't touch it again for a few weeks. And then I spent some time with it. And I think I was gone for 4 hours. It's like, and that 4 hours went by really fast. But in that 4 hours, I saw so many practical reasons to use it. I saw so many amazing possibilities and experiences and useful tools and also damaging tools too. But that's life. Like that's the life we live in. Like it's, we need fire, but fire will burn your ass too. I mean, I can see why we need this. And I can also see the potential issues with it too. But this doom and gloom attitude where everything is so extremely evil or so extremely good, like I've kind of fallen away from any of that ideology now because I don't think it's that simple, and I don't think it's so black and white either.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's knowing the origin of something. If it's like you can apply it to Vincent van Gogh's painting, where he was locked up in the insane asylum. So he was painting with a view of the bars in front of him, but when he painted it without the bars. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So perception, a depth perception of creating the world that you want to see, not the world that you think that there is. Wow. So yeah, when people are using these tools and they get sucked into, because the algorithm essentially on all of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the major ones, the more people get engaged in fights, the longer they stay on the system. So it's actually geared towards people, harassing each other and getting pissed off.
I like to. Here's the joy I take in frustrating people is not fighting back, or being able to reply with something nice that completely shuts down their argument, and if they keep talking, they just look like idiots. Like that is my strategy. But But again, yesterday I almost fully engaged, and I almost started saying things that were going to cause some PTSD in people, and I kept having to fight myself because I'm an emotional being, you know, and and my passion has been my fuel for so much, but it's also what's landed me in jail a bunch of times too. So I've been learning, you know, my faith is a huge part of me, but also learning I'm going to say it wrong, especially because I can't breathe out of my nose right now. Stoic. I'm so, God, I got to learn how to talk eventually, especially with the microphone in front of me. Stoicism.
Stoicism. Stoicism, yeah.
Thank you. And I'm learning, like, and I love emotional intelligence work, but learning to be more stoic in nature is helping me a ton. But I got to tell you, internally, it makes me feel like my head's gonna explode. Like, it makes me, I don't like it. I don't like being stoic. But at the same time, the benefits of being stoic far outweigh my desire or my lack of enthusiasm for it, because I don't enjoy it. I would rather just be free flowing and lit up and whatever emotions come out of me. But with that, that's how I feel good until that happens. And one of the things that I've observed over the last few years is that when I get really excited, it can be just as damaging for me as when I get really pissed off. It has the same toll on me mentally and physically afterwards.
Yeah.
It's really strange, and it could be from having DID. I don't know, but that's what it's been for me. And so when I found the stoic lifestyle, if you will, I gravitated towards it pretty quickly, going, I think I need this. And it felt good for me.
Yeah. It's an amazing place to meet people and learn. And as a tool, I find it fantastic. You know, I mean, I studied electronic arts back in 2005, which is now classed as communications. But we had an artist that was teaching us film photography and music and art and theater and film in a subversive way. So we were taught how to use it the way it's being used now, as like artists would use it, or musicians or filmmakers, but in the abstract way. Memes and short films and all that sort of stuff was way back in 2005.
So that's a great segue to your art. I'm not going to show your erotic art on here because I think it would get kicked off. Well, not only sex, but and also because I think there's some younger people that watch. But I really like. I like all of your art. Your poetry's great. The cognitive dissonance. I can't talk to. That section, those little short poems are fantastic. I really love them. I'm going to put all this stuff in the show notes for people to see, but I mean, you can get your website is like a whole other multiverse, if you will. There's so much going on. It is a true multimedia website. You're covering all of the bases as an artist. There's multiple bases as an artist that you're covering and displaying. And what I love about it, to me, and why it's like, dude, I want to interview you, is because it's so it's not the same thing. You're really showing different sides of yourself with your poetry, and then the forms of art, music, all of it. It's really neat to me, and I admire you because where right now I believe the algorithms and even SEO, and this is changing, but it rewards people that talk about the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. It's like the people on Twitter that talk about the same thing all the time. Don't you get bored? But that's what rewards. That's how they become successful. That has to be it. Because why else would somebody only want to talk about the same thing every single post in a different way, using different words, resharing the same meme they shared the week before, and they're getting hundreds of thousands of followers? It makes no sense. So I admire when people say, I'm not trying to niche. I'm an artist. This is my work. And it's beautiful the way that you've done it. So, but I want to ask you first about the erotic art. I'm not an art expert by any means, but I've always appreciated artists. I just, my partner's an artist. I'm a different type of artist, but you are a true artist. But with the erotic art, is there a source of inspiration that leads you to creating that style of art? Because it's different. I wish, again, I could show the pictures right now as we're talking for people to see. But again, I'm going to plug this in on the website. Is there a source of inspiration for that? Because it's different. I haven't seen that type of erotic art before.
Yeah, well, it's based on the sumi-e, Japanese ink style. Basically, it's like the Zen paintings that you see with the misty mountains, very minimalist, but trying to express with the least amount of movement, the biggest amount of emotion. So that's where the initial love of it came from, is that Zen. You stare at something for 12 hours and then you just paint the essence of it, like with 1-2 brush strokes, that's it. Or sit and do it in one sitting, so it's expression of basically admiring the essence of something and then putting it into paper. And in my life, I like the darker side of life as well as the lighter side, and I think that a lot of the darker side gets neglected, so without bringing the darkness to light, you're stuck with a one season world. You're not challenging yourself. You're not going into anything to actually bring back knowledge or wisdom or anything like that. But yeah, pursuing the art was after I did a graphic novel for a friend. It was based on trauma, so it was completely visual representations of trauma with no characters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So basically, had to very hard book to actually make, and then it has a few words in between, like sort of like a diary entry.
I only saw women though. So what was the association with you being a man? I think. I mean, I'm assuming you have more facial hair than I do. I didn't check your pants, but that said, you have an Adam's apple. So anyway, oh my God, I'm going off the rails now. No, but no seriousness. As a male artist portraying female trauma, like how do you even put yourself there? Like, was there a life experience that took you there, or what?
Yeah. Basically, well, anything that you're channeling as an artist is like being possessed by something, like a spiritual possession. Otherwise, you're forcing it. So it's that Charles Bukowski quote: "Don't cry, don't try." What is it? When the form appears, the art wanes. So when you've made something, formed this is my style, then everyone knows what it is. You're now a factory producer of that style. You're not someone who's expressing themselves in the moment, of that essence. So yeah.
Okay. So when I hear what you just said about like a spirit, it's like a spirit coming upon you, and it reminds me of a lot of the musicians that I hear talk that are, Elton John, stage fright, Beyonce, stage fright, but they talk about, a spirit, or they transform, they shift into this other person or this other identity, and then they do it. So some people could look at that as dissociative identity disorder, which I know about from living it. Other people could look at that as, the religious crowd would point to that and go, that's Satan. And then where those are evil demons and spirits. But there is something to that. You're channeling a spirit, and when you put your game face on, like people use these words, but really what you're saying is, I'm channeling the spirit of a bad mother trucker, and I'm now going to come dominate you in my sport, or whatever it may be. But the other thing too that seems so similar to me is when people talk about praying to Jesus or Yeshua or Holy Spirit, come on me, or I want to receive. Aren't you channeling? Like, isn't it the same thing? So It gives me this image of, we've got all these spirits all over the place, and really theoretically, we could channel any spirit we wanted to. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's, I mean, when I discovered polarity therapy back in 2007, which is basically treating the body like an electrical system.
Oh.
So it's acupuncture without the needles. So, you know, your fingers are positive, negative, neutral. You've got the same on your toes and your fingers. And so basically it's connecting all of these parts of your body using energy and meridians and all that sort of stuff.
Wait, is that why the hand mudras, is that what they're called? Like when people do these and this
yeah. So that's all to connect a certain a vibrational energy, like within themselves, like, you know, that gives you security, or, you know, doing something, or if you make a fist, or, you know, that sort of thing. It's all, that's threatening, that's high, that's, you know, good, that's bad, that's, you know, that's an energetic you know, thing in life, and that's just a hand movement.
That's the thing too about Twitter. People look at that and they see the hand mudras, the secret handshakes, and all that other stuff, and it's always associated with being a Freemason or Illuminati. And I'm sitting there going, during my broadcast, if you can see my hands, typically I fidget really bad. So the only way to keep me from fidgeting is to lock my hands somehow, and it's comfortable to do this. It's comfortable to do this or any of those hand motions. And then, like, I'm going, if I was ever popular enough for someone to screenshot me and accuse me of being Illuminati because of what I'm doing with my hands, I'm like, I do it because I fidget and it feels good and it soothes me to, like, I'm a big self-soother for lots of crazy reasons. But anyway, but I don't do it because I feel like I'm evil. To be still and to focus and maybe to calm down.
Well, that's what it's all invented for. I mean, like, there's the twiddling of thumbs, you know, give you focus, you know, because these things but this is the, you know, the energy of your hands, and then they use that in a way of like massage, which is like connecting people's points of their body to release tensions. And it's, once I discovered about the electrical system, so Northern Indian sort of thing. So
repeat that. Your internet skipped out for a second.
All right, like, so it's an ancient Ayurvedic, you know, like a Northern Indian form of massage and curing people of without any invasive, you know, cracking of bones or, you know, it's basically just sort of, so looking at the world like as your body is an electrical system was like fascinating, and knowing that every circuit closes with a spark. So you make a thought, you formed a circuit. You know, that switch in your brain has formed a thought. You know, there's a spark, you know, like the spark of thought, the spark of inspiration. And that for me, like, you know, you're bringing around all the energy from around you. So when you're on the your Twitter or your Facebook, or whatever, you're pulling all the energy from around you into that space, into that tiny little wire that's connecting to the optical fiber that goes through the servers that goes through the whole entire world. You know, that's you're creating this massive system of circuits, and then if you times that by 1 billion people all clicking on a similar circuit, you know, it's like walls of Jericho kind of stuff. You know, you're getting a harmonic resonance, you know, of people. It's powerful. It's very powerful stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned the walls of Jericho, so it makes me come up with this thought. I've been friends with a lot of people in Australia and New Zealand. I've met over the years, randomly, and I love all of them. I mean, they're such great, fun, interesting people. And but the one thing that I heard from all of them is religion is not big in our country. Like, people don't talk about God at all. What I've never asked them why, but I'm going to ask you, like, your perspective. Where did the Crusades not make it to Australia? Is that what happened, or like, what's the deal with that?
No, I think being an isolated island in the middle of Asia is kind of the reason that we're. Well, we also have this cultural thing. I don't know if it's because we're all settled by convicts initially, but it's basically a tall poppy syndrome that exists across the country. So if you rise up above the level that everyone wants you to be at, everyone will chop you down.
That's true.
And when I was in the US back, and everyone's just so positive. Like you come up with an idea, everyone's like, yes, let's run with it. Let's make that happen. you try that in Australia or New Zealand, they're like, yeah, maybe you should pull your head in, mate. It's kind of like if you want to be famous, go overseas, that sort of thing. So Australia's very level-headed kind of place where it's you want to succeed, but you can't really do it in a place this small. I mean, Australia's the size of America, but we've got 26 million people.
Oh wow!
So think about the infrastructure and distance and meters squared per person, and yeah, it's kind of a epic kind of place. New Zealand's a little bit different, but that's also a small population, and it's just very different energy as well. Northern Hemisphere is positive polarity, Southern Hemisphere negative polarity. So yeah, we speak negatively, we say things negatively. That's how Australia kind of works. Whereas further you go north, it's and then you've got the equatorial people that are kind of this balance between the super positive and the super negative, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just looking South Africa, Australia, Chile, they're not incredibly positive places, like as in vibe wise, or people don't go there to become famous. You go to America, you go to England, you go to Europe, you go to these super positive places closer to the positive energy, right up the North Pole, positive pole, South Pole, negative pole.
What's the attitude? I mean, I know you probably can't generalize this, but maybe as a whole or the majority, what is the artist vibe like in Australia compared to the United States?
Well, I think it'd probably be like two types of artists. I'd call them artists in Australia, which is your Indigenous artists that get exploited and taken advantage of, but their paintings sell for millions, and they have a deeper spiritual connection with the land here than anyone else will. That's what their art is about. It's all looking at life from like above, so it's looking from the top down. And they do this with their mind, and then they paint the dot paintings of the earth as if it was Google Earth, basically. So they've got a different perspective completely. But yeah, amazingly spiritual artists. Australian artists, on the other hand of the Western scale, is way more commercial and just trying to pander towards whatever the UK or France or America would want in their market. So it's.
I don't feel that that's art. In the spirit of an artist. I mean, I know the action is art, but that doesn't feel like art to me.
Yeah, well, art school, the lecturer said, just to let everyone know that modern art is financed by, the military mostly. So it's a cultural.
Like for money laundering?
No. They realized that to control a country, it's easier to install your culture into a country to take over it than it is to actually physically send tanks and bombs over there.
Oh, what China's doing in the United States with infiltration. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's like what McDonald's did to the rest of the world, kind of thing.
And Coca-Cola too.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on Coca-Cola. Holy crap. The marketing people behind these companies were brilliant. I mean, maybe there's some brilliant doesn't necessarily mean they're good people, but it was freaking brilliant because it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
That's essentially that choice again. So if you're an artist, you're a brilliant artist like Leonardo da Vinci, but in modern times, what are you advertising? Freaking Coke. You're not painting the Sistine Chapel. You're not carving the Statue of David. You're not doing amazing inventions, and you're selling some product like that is mass produced, but you have the best of it, the best life ever, and it's fascinating. Do you know what I mean? That's what people tie themselves to be remembered. You know, the greatest artists in history are remembered more than the politicians, or, you know, the marketing department, or, you know, PR. So it's the artists, the writers, the poets. They were the ones that were actually channeling what and representing what the eon was, what that time was like. And that's the only thing we have to look back at that's kind of vaguely correct, because history is always written by the victors. It's never written by the losers. So yeah, we've got this strange new world now where we're kind of going into a digital world where what will be remembered, you know, are people going to be in 20 years time going to be looking back at that tweet and going, wow, you know, it's like the statue of David, you know, it's brilliant.
Well, that's just effing depressing. I mean, it is. But it's also encouraging, because, like, I think that we have an opportunity, and this is my own belief. It doesn't mean it's true, but I bet my whole life that this was going to happen. But I really believe that the independent artist and independent media is going to build this new world, and I believe it's going to be a good thing, and like that's where I have hope in. I believe that the playing field will get leveled with independent media, not alternative media, which is the same bullshit as the other media, but like true independent media, independent creators, independent artists. I believe with all my heart that we are in the right position. Like, I believe, like, looking at your website, you are positioned for the new world and what that will look like, and a tribe is going to form around you. And you brought up tribes earlier. I think we're going back to more tribes. I think the days of mega celebrity is dead. I think that those days are done, regardless of what comes out of our screens now. I really believe that I believe good things are coming. I believe that we're going to see some chaos, but I do believe there's a beautiful new world that's awaiting us. And that's kind of the hope that I have, because I don't really see how things can continue the way they've been.
Yeah, I wouldn't be dead for $1 million. This is the best time to be alive at the moment.
I agree.
This is the cusp of every single thing that have been invented, all culminating into, you know, a small screen that we're holding the entire universe of known knowledge. And we're in this cusp of, like, where humans are like tipping into the physical realm and metaphysical realm at the same time. It's like a lot of people are going to possibly fall by the waysides, but it's kind of like this time to be a maverick, you know, to be an absolute maverick, like go beyond, like, and you know, challenge the actual status quo. Like my big thing was beat the algorithm. You know, cognitive dissonance poetry came out of defeating the algorithm. Like, I knew that the algorithm, if I typed any of those poems into AI would crap itself. The algorithm doesn't know what to do with it because it can't handle something that's, you know, irony, but sort of physically correct, you know, inaccurate. So yeah, I was just, you know, go for the more human, become a person that can write things that computers could never do, you know, which is poetry or music or art that is completely original. And I was always big on mistakes. I was like, actually make the better, because machines can't make mistakes. They can just do the wrong program that they're given. And it's sort of like, to develop more of how you are a human is to celebrate the mistakes of what you make, you know. But that, it's just, I just found it like fascinating that you could actually be at the top. Humanity is just about to like bust out massively. Art, music, writing, we're in like a early stages Renaissance, basically. You know, everyone made the joke, you know, COVID's over. Where's the fucking Renaissance? You know, like, it's like, come on, we need it now. We need, you know, good paintings and, you know, good thoughts and whatever, you know, new media that's actually, you know, got this sort of bigger aspect to it. But yeah, I don't know what the new Renaissance would look like. That's the thing. No one knows what it looks like. It's just, you have to trust that what you're doing is the way. Like what you're doing with gathering together people that talk about darker subjects or or things that go on in their lives, or creativity or art and that sort of thing, is like bringing together a community. And that's very much the new way of using this internet as a tool. You know, it's a brilliant kind of you know, way of actually pulling together like minds without having to form a, well, let's just say a tribe just yet.
Yeah.
You know, it forms organically.
Because that's the other thing too, is that it's not that I necessarily want to be a leader of a tribe. I just want to do what I was created to do, and to exercise that to my best ability. And now there's going to be missteps along the way. I've made plenty getting here, but you know, I do take a lot of pride in, you know, well, not pride, that's not the word. I mean, I take pride in what I do, but my sincere curiosity about people that think differently than me or believe differently than me, or just come from different parts of the world, have different backgrounds, and even people that are similar, like, you know, in talking about dissociative identity disorder, which is known as multiple personality disorder in some countries, like even having those discussions, they feel good. That's a similar thing for me, but I'm 44 and have felt alone most of that time, even being in a crowd full of people that know me. Like that's what it's been like, and that's what DID can be like for people. And so now, because of this technology that we have, getting to meet other people who now have the courage to talk about just effing embarrassing, horrendous, uncomfortable things. It's weird to tell people. Like, I was asked yesterday in the conversation that I had about DID and like how I know the differences. And there's a lot of ways to tell the differences, but how I learned was because of the sexualities. When they changed, that's how I started to recognize, oh, something's off here. But that took years to find that out. But to talk about that out loud, like, who does that? And why would someone do? Well, but you know what feels worse than being embarrassed? Feeling alone.
Yeah.
You know what's worse than being embarrassed? Is having to sit alone with your thoughts of thinking that you're a crazy person and no one's going to like you, love you, appreciate you, respect you, want to be near you, be associated with you. That's worse than being embarrassed, because every once in a while there'll be a random message from somebody that'll say, I had a loaded shotgun in my mouth, and you know, I mean, and then I heard your story or whatever. Like, I got a text last night from someone. I saw that. I'm like, this whole time I wanted to delete that episode of what I was talking about, but it wasn't a popular episode. But that one person that said that they now feel safe and that they're not alone, and now they have the courage to go do what they need to do. Like, that's the beauty of this technology. That's amazing. And that's the beauty of people who share their stories authentically. I wish more people would break away out of trying to hit the trending keyword with their subject matter, and instead just fucking, pardon my French, talk about, I get really heated about this, but instead talk about real things for them. Because this last 3 years is worthy of an honest conversation of what we have seen, what we've heard, what feels inconsistent, what feels off, what feels wrong, what feels right. Like, we should be having more conversations about this, but instead it's just hammering the same thing, that everyone's going to die from VAIDS, or they're all jabbing it. Like, all of the things, the same talking points, are fighting over Democrats and Republicans, are fighting over but none of it's really serving any good, because it's just a bunch of opinions of pissed off people, but it's not getting to a place where we can have conversation, maybe have a sensible understanding, and maybe go, oh, so I'm not the only one that is confused by what's going on, because it's okay to be confused, because it's honestly really confusing.
Yeah, no one knows what's going on. No one does. And if anyone says they do, they're a liar.
I am as guilty of this as anyone, because when I first found out about, the shutdowns are coming, blah, 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 I remember seeing Gilead involved. And for those of you who don't know, those of you that are listening or watching right now, Gilead makes HIV medication. That's all they do, is make HIV medication. They'd make my medication. So I'm going, why in the world would they be involved with COVID? So I go exploring. And like right around the time of March 2020 is when I started to see some of these connections and learn, like, wait a second, this was planned a lot longer than we've been told. And I watched Event 201, and then I learned about Dr. Fauci's role in with the smallpox vaccine and AIDS. And I'm going, well, wait a second, this is kind of messed up. And then back then you could find the information that talked about some of the things to be concerned about. So I'm pretty good at connecting dots. I just read the book, The Great Reset, and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I knew about the Internet of Bodies. And again, that could be conspiracy, but I know about it because I had read about it, because I've been obsessed with the singularity since I was a child. Like, it's just interesting to me. I just never thought I'd be alive for it. So I saw that, and I'm going, oh, I need to tell people not to take because it is going to cause this. And I was willing to bet my life on it that it was going to give people AIDS, vaccine-induced AIDS. And it still may, I don't know. But like, I've been talking about it on video like I was some authority that I knew for a fact. Like, I'm the one that, put the vaccine together and I manufactured it. And the truth is this, I still believe that is going to happen. Like, I still believe that it's going to compromise people's immune systems to the point that they don't have an immune system. I believe that, which would equate to vaccine-induced AIDS. But at the same time, I don't know that for a fact. So what the hell is wrong with me? And why would I be acting like I know something that I don't really know for sure? I'm guilty.
Yeah, well, it's that era that we'll look back at was the biggest psyop ever produced. And if you look at it, like I was saying about Egregores, it was a corporate entity, a corporate entity that took over humanity. So it wasn't government, it was corporate entity. And I looked into the name Pfizer, and it's named after the guy that invented napalm. So, there you go, And then you look at how all of the corporations actually aligned and took over each other and formed a mega corporation in 2019. Exactly.
That was wait a second. So was that when all of the business leaders from around the world went and met with the Pope and they signed that declaration?
This was like all the corporations actually bought into, say, Pfizer or Moderna and all of those companies. So they formed these mega corporations, like mega, they're worth almost trillions of dollars. Super powerful, could basically finance any government around the world, So it's like Google and Facebook getting together and plotting on the world, basically. Why would they do it? For world domination, to install whatever they want. But yeah, it's all factually there in the internet. But that, again, you're going into that realm of something that's a big psychological operation to cause trauma, and to trigger people. Definitely. I mean, one of my friends had a good point about it. He said maybe there's just saline in the old, because you make a bigger profit.
Yeah, way bigger, right?
And what do they want to make? Profit. Why would they bother putting all this stuff in there?
I don't understand. I know
placebo effect.
I don't understand why they would want the agenda of depopulation, right? Like, if that's real. And I know what the Georgia Guidestones say. I know what I've seen all that stuff. But if they're wanting to make money, why would they want to kill everybody off? Why not just hurt them?
It's like Iron. What is it? Judas Priest got sued in America for a kid committed suicide listening to a Judas Priest album. It was famous, 1980s court case, and they were saying, I think Bill Hicks said, why would they want to kill off the people that are buying their records? Cui bono. Who benefits?
That's the part I can't figure out. And if it's about balance in the earth and keeping it to 500 million people or whatever it is, well, like, how are they going to make money? They're losing a lot of customers, and we have a big ass, like, there's a lot of land. Like, we're not running out of land. Like, what are you going to do? You're talking about Australia kind of not having a huge population. Imagine the whole world like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you see mega populations, like, I don't know, flying into New York was a mind bender for me. But going to India and seeing, one state that's got 250 million people in a state that's half the size of Texas, kind of thing, and you're like, how, why, and you just can't understand what these people do with their day, But I think there's a lot of speculation and storytelling and big noting of these politicians, because they know that they're losing power essentially to the internet as a tool. The more that people are starting to realize that this is a tool and not a fun and games thing, that people could use it for like positive or negative, and it's very powerful. Then the powers that be at the moment, the old patriarchy, if you want to call it that, is scared shitless completely, because they know that their power is slipping through their fingers. It's gone.
Do you think that is a deception? In other words, that they're losing control because they do have the power to kill the switch or to flip the switch.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, the internet is its own entity by itself. It's like a hydra or the Medusa, with all the snakes coming out of the head kind of thing. And as soon as you look in the reflection, you turn to stone kind of thing. Like you're something that's been affected by the entity. Your image is being drained by the entity of the internet, unless you're producing something positive, or bringing people together or influencing people by inspiring them. That sort of thing, like what yourself is doing, or what I'm attempting to do with art, is to get people to think outside their own normal thinking realm. That's the process of doing something. That's what you're doing with all of your work.
Your commentary on my post and other people's post, and even what you put out yourself, I mean, I have to I have to sit with it like I'm looking at the Mona Lisa, trying to figure out what the hell is she thinking about? Like, I mean, like the way that you structure your words is, it really, if you don't, I guess some people could just skim past it and be like, whatever, that it makes sense. But if you actually read it, am I going? It makes you have to, for me anyway, I have to sit back and go, "Ooh, there's a lot going on there." Like, you put 4 words together. There's a lot more going on in those 4 words than what most people say in 5 paragraphs. I mean, it's amazing to me. Now, when did you know that's a gift? Clearly, when did you know you had that gift?
It would have been 2020. Yeah, when it was lockdown. So I spent like 6 months by myself, and then lockdowns lifted, and I was like, no, I'm going to stay locked down for the next 3 months. So, and I did
all of this in 2020.
Yeah. So, like, I did. Yeah, I was like, I didn't want to lose this time in the world where everything, there was a beautiful silence. It was amazing. And the world needed a bit of a slap around. I hate to say it.
They did. I swear to you, anyone who used that time, I said this when it happened, because I was like, what a blessing this is. Not having to go anywhere. And now I can choose to do whatever I want. There's no pressure having to drive everywhere. None of that. I get to sit here. What am I going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to create, and I'm going to try new things. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to just, and we as as a family took advantage of it. My kids, my partner Jessica, me, we created and created and created. We wrote a book, we made a movie, we like did all of this stuff with no money too. And we did it, and we were perfecting our craft, and now we're set up and positioned perfectly with what she's doing with VR, what I'm doing with media. We are positioned for this change. Whenever it happens, we're set up and ready now. And a lot of people took a year or longer to figure out, hey, they could take advantage of this time. And then there's other people that still haven't even tried to take advantage of it. Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, the funny thing was, everyone our age that I sort of observed was they all got divorced. Because they actually sat next to each other for the first time without being distracted and went, shit, why am I with this person?
You know what? And it makes me even, you just reminded me again why I'm grateful for Jessica, because we got closer.
Yeah.
And we had to weather a lot of crazy stuff like family alienation and and then just, our other health issues and other things that came up that weren't related to COVID. And like, it was an intense time, but we got closer, and in our relationship, we were able to also work on our relationship because we had some healing to do, still have healing to do, but we had healing to do, and that stuff got exposed. But it also gave us time to get creative with how we wanted to navigate our relationship and what we wanted our partnership to look like. Because she's my covenant wife, but I hate that word wife. It sounds gross to me. It sounds like a slave. It sounds like you're going to make me brownies at 5 o'clock or whatever. Like dinner's on the table every day at 5. And like that's not even the lifestyle I want. I don't want to eat at 5 o'clock. Like, I'll eat breakfast at 5 o'clock maybe, but like, I'm not trying to live like that old fashioned life. Like that doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's because of my upbringing and what I saw happen in my household with my parents that helped shift that attitude. But nonetheless, we found a way to navigate not only mental health issues, we found a way to navigate a lot. And because of that, we got closer. And it's like, I wouldn't have traded those years for anything, even though all of those external pleasures and things to do and all that other stuff was taken away for a little bit.
Yeah. It's either grow or you're gonna grow by whatever means necessary.
For sure.
That was the best thing about it. It was a test. Like that's a psyop. Any kind of difficulty in life is something you got to make. You got to make something out of it. You can't just sit around and wallow in your sorrows, waiting for somebody to pick you up and say it's going to be all right. It's all sort of self-directed, which I thought was fantastic. Like for everyone that I saw that grew out of it, like they just went and did new things. They discovered new abilities, new talents, just from having no distraction of the day-to-day. So it was kind of a blessing in a way for humanity, because the reason that COVID happened was because humanity was going on a trajectory of like expansion to the point of explosion. I thought that the world was going to self-combust because it was just going that fast and expanding at that level, and people were going way past their abilities and even consuming more than they could possibly consume, and then have it all being reduced down to something very small, like a time frame where everyone's locked into one space like a monk, to reflect. It's amazing.
Well, it wasn't for everyone, but yeah, you're right. For the people that chose to have that attitude, you're absolutely right. What do you think there's going to be another lockdown?
No. I think that their plans are sort of I don't know. They're losing sort of ability because everyone's snapping on to the conspiracy thing so quickly now. So now that's becoming an Egregore, like that's becoming an entity. So yeah, like I posted something about, was it the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse is Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Elon Musk, and Alex Jones. So that's your 4 bastions of freedom and war and, you know, all that sort of famine. And, you know, they're the kind of guys that hold all of that information for you. They're the ones that spread it. They disperse it. They're not actually sort of, they're like the symbolic horse of the apocalypse, you know, the revealing. Apocalypse means revealing. That's all it means.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I remember I saw that post, and it took, at first I was like, I thought it was like, because a lot of people were Trump, Putin, Z, and someone else. Or I think Elon may. I don't know. I forgot what it was now. But when I saw your post at first, I was like, what? And then I thought about it, and the way you just described it made it make a lot more sense. And I mean, I caught on to that's what you were doing, but you described it perfectly. And it makes sense. And I think it's so frustrating to think that there's not a hero that, you know, like that theory of Trump's going to come save the day, and he's been working secretly to shut down the cabal, and like all that QAnon stuff. And like that was, and it's interesting, that psyop. It's a very interesting one, but it's frustrating too. It's like, because it would be awesome to know that there was a world leader that was like, enough of this shit. You know, I'm going to give everyone their freedom back, and I'm done, you know, with this financial system that's all right. People talk about the beast system and the mark of the beast. We've been in a beast system. There is no way the financial system we are in right now is not a beast system. So this next one that's coming is a beast system, and it's worse. Like, my God, is this hell? Like, where do we live? And it, so, but I don't know. But it's frustrating to think that there's not one. And then there's the whole concept of, well, Jesus is going to come save us. But what I know about a relationship with Jesus is that it's something that you're like, you work together. It's a partnership. It's not, I'm just going to sit here and do nothing, and Jesus is going to come take care of everything. It doesn't work that way. Like, there's universal principles, there's biblical principles, which are universal principles, which are natural laws. They're all the same thing. And guess what? You got to take action. You get to be the hero of the story. That's the point. So while it's frustrating to go, well, damn, no one's going to come save us, what am I going to do? Oh, guess what? I was created. You were created. And everybody else that chooses their assignment to walk in the purpose in which they were created for, that's how they get to be the hero of the story. Because the role they get to play in the world is using their gifts and their talents to bless, to educate, to teach, to train, to help heal. Like, that's what we're here for. That's how you get to be the hero of the story. Trump ain't the fucking hero. Pardon my French. Gosh, I got a mouth today. Trump's not the hero. Like, Elon Musk is not the hero. None of these people are. We get to be the hero. That's what we have. And that is actually more exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, that's the classic saying that a lot of Christians overlook. You know, Jesus was a rebel, you know.
Yeah.
Essentially, the whole thing, he was rebelling against everything. his whole life. It's just, he would have been seen as a mentally ill patient because he just rebelled against whatever was going on.
Everything you said to me is spot on. And I believe with all my heart, that is why the Gospel of Thomas was removed from the Bible, because that is the truth it's speaking. And it's not this submissive, obey your government bull crap. Like, I know it says that in the Bible, but if you think God put that there, there's nothing godly, or at least the God that I want to serve, about the leaders in these countries right now. Like, I collectively, I can look across the board going, yeah, I don't think he has his best interest in me. Like, and people could say, well, Putin and Z, they're good guys, and they've been demonized. Okay, well, here's my problem with that. They willingly know about labor trafficking, human trafficking, and organ harvesting that happens in their own countries. So don't freaking tell me that they're the good guys when they're a part of this too. Like, I don't know if this is correct, but the belief that I have around this, and until I find a better belief, I'm going to probably have this one, is that we have two new world orders at war, but they really play for the same team. Like they're the same family, but they're just playing these roles. And but the two new world orders at war serve the same master, and we're the game pieces. And the only way that we can win this game is to not play it. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, well, I think it's also as well to, like you were saying, if you're creating something, you're creating something, you're going into that maverick realm where you're going to be alone, possibly failing 90% of the time, but doing 10% of innovation, you know. And because that point where you're finding something new, that's what people are looking towards. That's what, when they find out they're being stooged, then they're going to be moving towards something that's maverick, new, something that's, and it's not to say that everyone needs to do that, but it's a good way of thinking about like pushing the boundaries is worth doing. You've only got one life, right now, and it's that, I don't know if you saw that Vernon Linwood Howard quote that I posted. It was, man can accept God becoming man to save man, but can't accept man becoming God to save himself.
Whoa. No, I didn't see that one.
No, it's like incredibly powerful. Like,
wow.
There's an American guy that's pretty much ignored, but he was very smart, knew how to reprogram your brain, all that sort of thing. And like it's just saying basically bring it back to yourself, and everyone thinks, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. It's like, well, if you don't fail initially at everything, then you won't find out what you really are good at. So try everything,
I used to beat myself up for failure because it sucks. I mean, it's embarrassing and kids are mean. And people are mean. So, but like I forget, I don't know when it happened exactly, but there was two lessons that I learned and it came from, I heard the words, the blessing is in the breaking. And when I heard that for the first time, it really, really hit me in a powerful way. But when I looked at failure, when it used to devastate me, I changed my attitude about it, where I started to enjoy it because it was where I got to see how I could perfect it and fine tune it and make it better, make it my own, make it whatever. Or maybe it was more me trying to do the thing instead of just allowing it to be done, or allowing the information to come through me and then applying it that way, as opposed to just going to do it. Like I saw an idea, like, well, I'm going to go try that, without really going, is this right for me? Is this the path that I'm supposed to go down? Like, because I believe that we all have this opportunity to be able to check in with the creator, with God, whatever name people give the creator of all. Like, if they just check in to go, is this the right thing for me? Is this the right choice? And I know this looks great, but should I be doing business with this person? I think when we ask those questions and we take the time to stop and ask those questions to ourselves or to God, we get the answer that we need. And it keeps us from going and falling in these ditches that take weeks to get out of sometimes.
Yeah, well, it might sound a bit like Peter Pan, but it's remembering when you're a kid and you just play. You just play. Like, that's it. You are just having fun. Something is amazing to you. You're fascinated by it. You go do it. And it. I mean, I didn't understand what the word Never Never Land meant, but it's when they're convincing the family to jump off of the balcony and fly with the pixie dust. It's to never never land.
Oh,
fly, keep flying.
Freaking. The answer is just right in front of my face the whole time, and didn't even pick up on it. Golly, and I like to think I'm smart sometimes.
No, I mean, that's the beauty of it, is it's in the subconscious before you've even defined it. But I mean, it's a beautiful kind of way of looking at it. Like, keep flying, as in keep with that imagination. That kind of pixie dust way of thinking. Where there's no limitations. You're like, oh, well, what if I did this, or what if I did that today, or just instinctively, I want to go play, with clay today. I want to start, making sculptures, or I feel like doodling on with a pen and paper. then you become an artist from that. It's just very, very simplistic answers, but people put limitations on everything because they're told once they finish their childhood that you must fit to a system of conformity, and there's this adult world, and it's very serious.
Yeah, I think our generation gets to break that with our kids because I think we've learned our lessons. And I mean, it would be easy to look at and blame my parents for that, but they were just doing what their parents taught them, and they turned out okay, I guess. So then they're going to teach us that, and then but that's not right for me. I think about all the time about all the people that choose the jobs that their parents tell them that they should do, or you need to go to college and get an education. But if it's not, I mean, that's not for everyone. The way that they teach isn't for everyone. That there's, so I do think that we have an opportunity to reverse the course in a lot of different ways, which to me is exciting. Like with us, with the two daughters, we told them the truth about Santa Claus, told them the truth about what was going on in the world. And it's not to rob them of their innocence, but here's the thing. If it's still a lie, like pretending Santa Claus brought the gifts is a lie. And you can say, well, it's in the spirit of the holiday and it's fun and it's about family, but it's a effing lie. Those lies, I don't care how little or how small, they do add up and they will affect your kids. And it's, if you lie once, how many other times have you lied to me? You're gonna lie about the tooth fairy too? What else are you lying about? So chose to just be honest, and because of that, we have some pretty well-adjusted kids, considering everyone around them is losing their mind, but they seem to be pretty steady in the storm, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's good on you. That's the way things need to be. I think there's the one thing that I kind of follow, but it's the philosopher's rule, which is zero tolerance for the lie. That's it. There's only one rule. There's no other rules. So and it's the truth is always a battle to find, because that's the ongoing. How many lies are there? I mean, people lie to themselves, people lie to each other, and it's finding that truth and that honesty. However, you can do that. Is the secret to it, I guess.
Yeah.
But is it Stalin that said a lie told enough times becomes the truth?
That or one of the Nazis.
Yeah,
one of them. I'm sure they were friends.
The franchise of bad guys that run the world.
Well, there's a big franchise.
Yeah,
Ashley, I've enjoyed this conversation so much. We have to do it again.
For sure.
But I would love for you to plug everything you want to plug. I'm going to have in the show notes, I'm going to have links to your amazing art, your music, your blog, everything. It's so interesting. I cannot tell you enough. People, go check out his website. You may be there for a long time because there is a lot going on, but not in an overwhelming way. It's all presented in it's like a welcoming way, but there's a lot there. It's like a museum of a website. Highly recommend it. So Ashley, plug everything you want to plug, and any last words you want to share. The floor is yours.
Cheers. Thank you very much for the opportunity to have a chat and finally meet you and all that. So it's it's been great. Just go to the website, saxoncreative.com.
Two X's, right?
Two X's, yeah. And that's where all the link tree and everything is to go to all the external sites and that sort of thing. But really enjoyed having a chat to you, and we should most definitely do it again.
For sure, man. Well, enjoy your sleep, because I know it's 4 a.m. now?
Yeah, 4 a.m.
Well, hopefully you get some sleep, and enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
No worries. Yeah, thank you, Josh.
All right, bye-bye.
See you.